भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं तं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तन्न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Jai Gurudev. We continue with this review of the rise and fall of truth. We understand from Shankara's teachings that the fertile field of transcendental consciousness, both knowledge and devotion find their fulfillment. So this transcendental consciousness is the basis and the source for this knowledge and devotion to be developed fully. So this fall of truth came when the direct way to the realization of transcendental consciousness has been lost. This understanding of the unity of life and the integrated life cannot be significant until one has thoroughly understood by direct experience that one's inner divine nature is separate from the world of action. If this consciousness in being is not gained, then one continues to live in ignorance and bondage. And the thought of unity, just the thought of unity, has no practical value. It has no practical use. This is because there is no direct experience. This direct experience of the separateness of the divine from the world. Despite this rise and fall of the truth, we must not lose sight of the great impact that Shankara produced on Indian life. It was the perfection of his presentation that caused Shankara's teaching to be accepted as the core of Vedic wisdom and placed it at the center of Indian culture. It became so inseparable from the Indian way of life, so much so when this teaching lost its universal character and came to be interpreted as for the recluse, the Indian culture also began to be considered in terms of the recluse way of life founded on renunciation and detachment. The detached view of life became accepted as the basis of Vedic wisdom. Life on the basis of detachment, this has been a complete distortion of Indian philosophy. It has not only destroyed the path of realization, but has led the seekers of truth continuously astray. Indeed, it has left them without the possibility of ever finding the goal. Not only was the path to enlightenment lost, but the entire art of living disappeared in the clouds of ignorance. This ignorance obscured every phase of life. Even religion became blind to itself. Instead of directly helping people to gain God consciousness and act rightly on that basis, religious preachers began to teach that right action is in itself a way to purification and thereby to God consciousness. Now let us see what happened after Shankara. In the absence of the moon, the stars take over and provide as much light as they can. This is what Maharshi has said. When Shankara's high ideal of transcendental devotion disappeared from sight, Ramanuja, Madhava, and other teachers upheld the path of devotion. They upheld this path of devotion without its proper basis in being. Many people followed them, and there arose many devotional sects, all on the level of emotion, and everyone founded on the comfortable basis of hope that someday our prayer will be heard, someday He will come to us and call us to Him. Indeed, a comfort to the heart, but far away from the reality of actual contact between the devotee and his God. The truth of the matter is, awareness in the state of being alone makes the whole field of devotion real. To add to this confusion, all these sects hold that transcendental devotion is the last stage of the devotee's achievement. But Shankara's principle of devotion is founded on transcendental consciousness from the very beginning. The first step for Shankara is the last step for these devotional sects, a step which, according to their understanding, is far above the reach of the ordinary man. The idea that devotion must start from transcendental consciousness, having been lost by the guardians of Shankara's wisdom, entrance into the field of devotion was closed. Seekers of God remained seeking in thin air, and lovers of God remained weeping for Him without finding Him. Devotion remained merely on the level of thinking and of assuming an attitude of feeling or mood making. So, this knowledge also met with the same fate once the direct way to the realization of transcendental consciousness had been lost. Without being, confusion of cause and effect invaded every field of understanding. It captured even the most practical field of the philosophy of yoga. Karma Yoga, which is the attainment of union by way of action, began to be understood as based on karma, the action, whereas its basis is yoga, the union in transcendental consciousness. The yoga philosophy of Patanjali was itself misinterpreted, and the order of stages on its eightfold path were reversed. The practice of yoga was understood to start with yama, niyama, whereas in reality it should begin with samadhi. Samadhi cannot be gained by the practice of yama, niyama, and so on. Proficiency in the virtues can only be gained by repeated experiences of samadhi. It was because the effect was mistaken for the cause that this great philosophy of life became distorted and the path to samadhi was blocked. Further, with the loss of insight into yoga, the other 5 classical systems of Indian philosophy lost their power. They just remained on the theoretical level of knowledge, for it is through yoga alone that knowledge steps into practical life. So we find that all fields of religion and philosophy have been misunderstood and wrongly interpreted for many centuries. This has blocked the path to the fullest development of heart and mind, which has been so precisely revived by Shankara. On the fertile field of the transcendental consciousness, both knowledge and devotion find their fulfillment. But when this principle was forgotten and the technique for developing transcendental consciousness was lost, many generations have died without seeing the light of God and without gaining fulfillment. That has been the situation for more than 1,000 years. Misunderstanding itself has taken the shape of a tradition. Unfortunately, it came to be known as Shankara's tradition. This great loss to human life can hardly be compensated. But this has been the course of history. Time cannot be recaptured. It is no use repenting the past. Interpretations of the Bhagavad Gita and other Indian scriptures are now so full of the idea of renunciation that they are regarded with distrust by all practical men in every part of the world. Many Western universities hesitate to teach Indian philosophy for this reason. The responsibility for this loss of truth to the whole world lies with the interpreters of Shankara's teaching, missing the core essence of his wisdom. All of these new interpretations have not been able to save the world from falling ever deeper into ignorance and suffering. This age, however, has been fortunate. It has witnessed the living example of a man inspired by Vedic wisdom in its wholeness and thus able to revive the philosophy of the integrated life in all its truth and fullness. His divinity, Brahmananda Saraswati, the inspiration and the guiding light of this commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, adorned the seat of the Shankaracharya of the north, and glowing in divine radiance, embodied in himself the head and heart of Shankara. He expounded the truth in its all-embracing nature. His quiet words, coming from the unbounded love of his heart, pierced the hearts of all who heard him and brought enlightenment to their minds. His message was the message of fullness of heart and mind. He moved as the living embodiment of truth and was addressed as Vedanta incarnate by that great Indian philosopher, now President of India, Dr. Radhakrishnan. It was the concern of Gurudev, his divinity, Brahmananda Saraswati, to enlighten all men everywhere that resulted in the foundation of the worldwide spiritual regeneration movement in 1958. India is a country where truth matters most, and Indians are a people to whom God matters most. Indian soil has witnessed many times the revival of life's true philosophy. The people of India have never hesitated to return once more to the right path whenever it was convincingly pointed out to them that their way of life had taken a wrong course. This receptiveness to truth of the Indian people has always been a source of inspiration and a signal of hope to all movements aiming at the revival of true life and living. Maharshi concludes by saying, that may the present commentary on the Bhagavad Gita produce the desired effect in response to the historical necessity of today. The purpose of this commentary is to restore the fundamental truths of the Bhagavad Gita and thus restore the significance of its teaching. If this teaching is followed, effectiveness in life will be achieved, men will be fulfilled on all levels, and the historical need of the age will be fulfilled also. Jai Gurudev. Now to this I will add one sentence. I really hope that this Bhagavad Gita will reach out to all the students, the young students who are now beginning to recite Bhagavad Gita in all the villages and in many schools in India and across the world, and they can gain this knowledge. The teachers can gain this knowledge, the mothers can gain this knowledge, and soon all will experience this integrated life with the full development of the mind and the heart. Jai Gurudev, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu.
अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया